I'm very excited to talk about the iPhone 10. This has been a device that I've been waiting for a very long time. In my opinion, the iPhone 10 is the best looking device ever. Period. Full stop. Now, that's my opinion, and a lot of people will probably disagree with it, but I absolutely love the way this is designed. The back goes back to the iPhone 4 days when we had glass. Yeah, it's a little more breakable, but it looks absolutely beautiful. The rounded corners, though, were something that kind of took a little while to get used to. We've had rounded corners on the device, but now we have rounded corners in the display. And this was kind of something that was a little different. The first day I had it, I didn't really care for it, but now that I've used it for a while, it looks great. And I picked up my old iPhone 7 Plus, and it just looks old. The square design, the home button, the bezels on it just absolutely feel like an ancient device that comes from the time of the dinosaurs. Like, I am very, very excited about this updated look. The notch, though, is something that was kind of weird. I thought I would be kind of perturbed about it. I thought it would stick out a lot for me. I thought it would be something I noticed all the time. And after about 5 minutes, I forgot it was there. Some apps, when they have a full white background, you open them up and you're like, oh, hey, that notch is there. But once applications kind of start to embrace it, stuff like Fantastical, it made it red around the corner so it kind of blends in. And then when you're reading stuff in like Instapaper and stuff like that, it just scrolls right up. It embraces the notch. And I really think this is the future of design for the iPhone. I really think the notch needs to be embraced. This is also a premium feeling phone. And what I mean by that is you're going to spend over $1,000 for this phone, and it's going to feel like you spent over $1,000 for this phone. It's kind of hard to explain just looking at pictures or images of it, but when I held it in my hand for the first time, I really did feel like this was a premium cell phone. And honestly, it feels great. I'm very, very excited about it. It feels amazing in the hand. I can use it one-handed, unlike my iPhone Plus that would kind of start to hurt my hands after a while if I would try and use it one-handed, even though I do have large hands. This is the first iPhone to have an OLED screen, and it's absolutely gorgeous. The blacks really look black. The color reproduction just absolutely looks great. It is fantastic. Now, I've seen a lot of people on the internet talk about how this was made by Samsung. The screen was actually completely designed by Apple. A lot of their executives came out and did interviews and they talked about this. The screen is designed by Apple, but it is produced by Samsung. So I just wanted to kind of clear that up a little bit. If you tilt the phone, you do kind of get a blue tint, but on all OLED phones, you kind of get something like this. There's something with OLED that when you kind of look at it from an angle, the color reproduction gets off. So that is to be expected, and it's honestly not that bad. I don't look at my phone from the angle that it would take in order to see this blue tint. The new gestures take some getting used to too, especially multitasking. You have to swipe up and hold to get to multitasking, or some people do this kind of semicircle gesture at the bottom. I really think this needs to change. I really think it needs to be quicker to get to multitasking. You can also swipe left and right at the bottom to get in between recent apps. It's kind of weird to use. If you swipe left and you get some old applications, the ones that you were just previously on will be on the right, unless you hold for more than 10 seconds. If you hold for more than 10 seconds, then they'll be back on the left again. It's a very, very odd design, and it does take some getting used to. Swiping up to home feels great now. Like I mentioned, I pulled out my old iPhone 7 Plus and tried to swipe up to get home, and it just doesn't work. It just feels very natural now to swipe up to go home. Lots of actions have been moved to the side button. Turning off the phone is now you have to press the side button and the volume down button to turn it off. To reboot, you have to press and release the volume up button, press and release the volume down button, then press and hold the side button again until you get the Apple logo. Siri, you have to long press on the side button. These are all not terrible, but it does take some getting used to. After 10 years of having them all in the same location, it does kind of get off after a while that those actions, like turning off your phone or rebooting your phone, aren't in the typical spots anymore. Control center, in my opinion, is in the wrong spot. Right now, it's in the upper right ear. So you have to kind of stretch your finger in order to get there. And if you're using the device one-handed, it's almost impossible unless you have really large hands. I have really big hands, and I even have to kind of tilt the device towards me in order to get to it. I really think this is something that should be moved more into multitasking, and you can make it the default view for multitasking. So when you swipe up and hold, Control Center automatically appears. Now the hold in the multitasking needs to be lowered. You can enable reachability though and accessibility, and it will make getting to Control Center a little bit better, but you will have to swipe down on the home indicator now to pull everything down, so it is one more step. There's also lock screen controls like flashlight and camera, and these are really great. I absolutely love these. When you press them, it's kind of like the iPhone 7 home button was. It wasn't an actual physical button, but it was a motor in the phone making a reaction. And when you hit these, it feels like an actual button. The first day I got them, I kind of just toggled them on and off. It was really fun to play with. Notification Center, you can swipe down from the notch or swipe down from the left ear. So Notification Center has a wide target, and it's pretty easy to get to, especially since you can swipe down from the notch. It seems like a kind of a easy place to get to, but I do have large hands, so those with smaller hands may need to enable accessibility. The camera is great. You get a 12 megapixel wide-angle lens and a 12 megapixel telephoto lens. It has a 1.8 aperture for the wide angle and 2.4 aperture for the telephoto. Both have optical image stabilization and shoot up to 4K 60 frames per second. I haven't done too much with the camera, but what I have been able to play with absolutely looks amazing. The front camera also got a big upgrade. Now that it has the notch and a lot of sensors in it, they can do fun stuff. So portrait mode is now in the front-facing camera as well. It looks okay, but honestly, stick with the back camera if you can use it. It doesn't have the two images. It's using the 3D depth sensor in order to kind of mask everything. And unless you have the lighting perfect, it doesn't look that great. But you can play with portrait lighting effects, and these are kind of cool. This is on both for the front portrait mode and the back portrait mode for the iPhone 10. And they look really cool and they're fun to play with. I think some of the studio ones need to be tweaked a little bit so you can kind of, they're a little sharp when it comes to cutting off edges. Apps will need to be updated to support the iPhone 10. If they don't currently right now, they're letterboxed and they just look old and ugly. A lot of the apps from places like Google and stuff still haven't yet to be updated. It will take time, but here's hoping everybody gets updated pretty quickly. Face ID feels like magic. I kind of had a low success rate with Touch ID. I always worked with my hands a lot, and they can get wet or sweaty or things like that, and Touch ID never really worked 100% of the time for me. In fact, I would probably say it only worked about 50% of the time for me. But Face ID is absolutely wonderful. As long as you have clear line of sight of your face, it works great. If Face ID doesn't work when you use it, enter your password. It uses machine learning to improve over time. So if you're wearing glasses and you weren't wearing glasses when you trained it, it'll learn that, hey, you're wearing glasses. Or it'll learn as your beard grows or hair grows or anything like that. So it's kind of a cool utility and it improves itself over time. So if Face ID doesn't work for you right away, just give it some time and it will learn as you use it. There are attention controls. So this means if you're not looking at your phone and you go to unlock it, even if your phone can see your face perfectly, it won't unlock. Now this can be turned off if you don't want this feature, but it's just an extra layer of security, so I think it's a really good addition. By default, the iPhone 10 will hide your notifications until you look at the screen, and then it'll release them. This could be turned on previously for the other devices, but this is kind of something cool that you can use. I'm never really in a situation where I want to hide my notifications from people, so I turn this off just because I like to be able to glance over at my phone when an iMessage comes in or an email or whatever comes in, and I want to see what it is. If you work at a desk, consider getting some sort of angled stand. It makes it really easy to use with your phone, so you can kind of just use it right on the desk without having to pick it up all the time. If it's laying flat on the phone, you'll have to kind of lean over and look directly straight down to it in order to get it unlocked. It's fine, but when I put my phone on an angle stand, I'm much happier with it. Animoji is a lot of fun. If you haven't seen already, Animoji Karaoke kind of took over the internet for a little while. I have a lot of fun sending these, and they do a really good job of mapping your face and kind of really showing expressions. I'm hoping Apple brings Animoji across iOS quicker. Right now it's just limited to iMessage. The battery on the iPhone 10 feels great. It feels like my iPhone 7 Plus did. I didn't do lot of technical or any, sort of special measurements, but what I did notice is I do use my GPS a lot, and it made it through the whole day, no problem. By the time I would get home, and maybe around 8, 9 o'clock, I would have to turn on battery saver and get to that 20% marker, but for the most part, using my phone all day was not a problem. Also, with the iPhone 10 and the iPhone 8s as well, Apple added the feature of wireless charging. Wireless charging isn't exactly wireless charging. I have a beef with the name, but we're just going to go for it because that's what everybody calls it. It works really well. You just drop it on the wireless charger and it charges. If you're somebody, like I said, that works on a desk, consider getting an angled wireless charger. It'll be a heck of a lot easier so you don't have to constantly take it off the charger every time you want to use your device. In iOS 11.2, faster wireless charging is coming available. As far as speed goes, the iPhone 10 is just absolutely bananas. It has an A11 Bionic chip and 3 gigs of RAM. The Geekbench scores are completely incredible. I'm very excited about this chip, and I'm very excited to see what it does in the iPad in the future. To sum up everything, I absolutely love this device. It's my favorite iPhone ever. I think it looks beautiful, it works great, and honestly, Animoji are kind of fun. I'm really happy about it. It definitely feels like somebody went into 5 years into the future, grabbed the smartphone they were using, and came back in time with it. I think this is definitely the future of the smartphone, at least for the next 5, maybe 10 years. So this is something that was really, really exciting to be able to get my hands on. I hope you guys like this video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you guys like what I do here, talking about iOS, iPad stuff, leave a like and maybe subscribe if you want. Thank you guys very much. Have a nice day.